can't just buy an all-wheel drive van, add a bunch of weight, and start banging it down a bunch of rough dirt roads. I guess you can, but you shouldn't. And there are a lot of options. About the fastest, cheapest, and easiest is to install these Sumo Springs. Sumo Springs from SuperSprings International are a common suspension mod for the Transit and a Toyota Tacoma. If you click back a few videos, you'll see where I installed them on my Tacoma and compared them to other bump stop upgrades. But this use case is a little different, and I'll explain why. All leaf spring vehicles have a bump stop, or a jounce bumper, that engages at full suspension compression and prevents metal-on-metal contact. They don't normally offer any suspension enhancement or load carrying. As you can see in this before video showing the stock bump stops in the van. This was shot on one of the roughest roads near our house, which is actually pretty rough, and it doesn't hit that bump stop much at all. However, when the van is loaded like this, it's a few hundred pounds heavier and would potentially hit those bump stops a lot more and a lot harder. Despite being an all-wheel drive van, the Ford Transit isn't what you'd call an off-highway vehicle. It's a delivery van, so it's low to the ground and designed to be stable and safe driving around cities, with a low deck height for workers to get themselves and cargo in and out. We may end up changing the suspension, but for starters, decided to add the Sumo Springs to the van, and SuperSprings sent us a full set, front and rear, for the Transit. The rears are the same microcellular polyurethane as the ones I use in the Tacoma, even the same color. The rears are the same blue marshmallow-looking blocks, and the fronts are the circular blocks of the same material that slide into the coil springs of the struts. Here's how to install them. Jack up the rear of the van from the frame. The trailer hitch is a good spot if you have one. Place jack stands under it as well, since you're going to be working under there. If you don't have jack stands, then it's probably a job for a shop. You can grab the factory bump stop and pry it out by hand. Then use a wrench to remove the bump stop. I cleaned off the frame with some simple green and a rag. Assemble the Sumo Springs per the instructions. Don't forget the Loctite. They include a little tube of it in the kit. Then you can work the Sumo Spring into its spot, and with a ratchet and extension you can thread it into position. To install the front Sumo Springs, start by jacking up the front of the vehicle from the frame so the tire droops down, unloading the spring. Then clean a section of the spring with soapy water, leaving some soapy residue on the spring. Then you can slide the Sumo Spring into the coils and rotate it up a few turns. The Sumo Spring has coves that nest in with the spring coils. Once you lower it down, the compression holds it in place. The actual lift over stock is only about 1/4 of an inch at most. Do they improve the ride? Well, it's hard to say. The van does not ride particularly well, and the suspension is mostly influenced by the really stiff parabolic springs in the rear, and the soft coil springs in the front. In the front, they definitely stiffen up the springs a little, which is good, and the fact that they don't really give much lift is also good, in my opinion. In the rear, they engage a lot sooner than the stock jounce bumpers would, so they spread the impact over a greater distance and keep the suspension from bottoming out as far as they might otherwise. Now, in my opinion, you don't want the vehicle riding on the bump stops all the time, so I recommend you set up your springs such that the vehicle uses the springs most of the time and the Sumo Springs only in extreme situations. And that's what we plan to do next. Thanks for watching, and happy trails.